You will now view brief video clips featuring several elementary students participating in classroom activities. You will be asked to focus your attention on one specific student. Following the clip, think about how you would rate the student's behavior using DBR. Then, our rating of behavior will be displayed, along with the rationale for that rating. Just a reminder that these clips are purposely short to facilitate efficient training. Actual observation and rating periods should be longer. For example, one rating might be completed at the end of an entire instructional block, such as silent reading. In this clip, the teacher is asking the students questions about storytelling. Following the video, we will rate the respectful behavior displayed by Bob.
Okay, what else do good stories have? Jessica?
Why he jumped in the brown mud?
Yeah, they'll tell you why things happen, of course. They usually have some type of a problem with a solution, right? What else? Morgan, what else do good stories have? Okay, so if I told you a story that said, I got all wet, I was swimming, before that I was bike riding, I had a fun day.
How would you rate Bob's respectful behavior? Recall that you can first anchor your rating by considering whether it was displayed at a low, medium, or high level. When we think about Bob's display of respectful behavior, he was respectful a little more than 50% of the time, which is medium. Think back to the clip. During the first half, Bob was sitting in his seat, passively listening, and generally following classroom rules. Then, about halfway through the video, he rolled his eyes and put his head down on the table, which is neither compliant nor polite behavior in response to adult instruction. He proceeded to make inappropriate hand gestures indicating that the teacher was talking too much, which is also not polite behavior in response to adult instruction. Since Bob displayed respectful behavior during slightly more than half of the clip, we would select 6 on the DBR scale. In this clip, the teacher is reading a story to the class about tangrams. Following the video, we will rate disruptive behavior displayed by Tyler.
Exquisite gift to the emperor. But on the way, the man slipped and fell. The tile hit the ground and broke into 7 pieces, just like what we now call a tangram. We have a tangram here, 7 pieces. Now, the story goes that the man went home with his broken tile and he tried very hard to put it back together. What shape should it have been put back in together, Jessica? What shape?
How would you rate Tyler's disruptive behavior? Think back to the clip. Tyler was frequently disruptive. At first, Tyler was sitting properly in his seat, passively listening, but not disruptive. Soon, he began rummaging through his desk and took out paper to make a paper airplane. This behavior constitutes playing with objects, which he continued to do for the remainder of the clip. In summary, Tyler was observed performing actions that interrupt regular classroom activity very frequently throughout most of the clip. This translates to a rating of 9. In this video, the students are expected to write a story. Following the video, we will again rate respectful behavior displayed by Bob.
You might want to tell me what kind of day it was. Maybe it was a rainy day and you had to go to the beach. Why don't you get started, please? Wow, like that. One warm, sunny day. Andy, you're trying to find something?
How would you rate Bob's respectful behavior? This clip provides an example of the importance of considering the entire observation period when choosing a rating. During the first half of the clip, Bob had his head down on the desk. At first, it is unclear whether Bob is being respectful or disrespectful, since he was not displaying overtly noncompliant or impolite behavior. However, when the teacher asked him to sit up, he made a rude noise and gesture towards the teacher, and then resumed lying with his head down, which is considered to be noncompliant behavior in response to teacher directions. Therefore, based on the context through the entire observation, Bob was never respectful during the clip, and thus received a rating of 0. In this clip, the teacher is telling the students what the next instructional activity will be. Following the clip, we will rate the academically engaged behavior displayed by Jessie.
5. So today I am going to be reading a story, and we are going to be using our own clacks. Bob, I need you to put that away, please. We're going to be using our own clacks to figure out the time in this story. It's kind of a fun story. It's about a detective called Something Furry in the Garage at 6:30 a.m. How about some predictions around that? Something furry in the garage at 6:30 a.m. a.m.
How would you rate Jessie's academically engaged behavior? When we think about Jessie's academic engagement, we find that she was engaged at a medium level. Think back through the video. During a little more than half of the clip, Jessie was sitting at her desk, passively listening to the teacher. However, during the rest of the clip, she was staring off to the side of the room, which is neither active nor passive participation in classroom activity. Thus, since she was academically engaged a little more than half of the time, we would choose a rating of 6. Now we will demonstrate simultaneous rating of all 3 target behaviors. In this clip, the teacher is reading a story to the students. Following the video, we will rate Alyssa's academically engaged, respectful, and disruptive behaviors.
Although Chow and Wu Ling were best friends, who do you suppose Chow and Wu Ling are? What do you think?
The Tangram foxes?
The Tangram foxes, right? Because the granddaughter wanted a story. So this is the start of grandfather's story. Although Chow and Wu Ling were best friends, they were always trying to outdo each other. One day, this rivalry almost brought their friendship to a tragic end.
How would you rate Alyssa's academically engaged, respectful, and disruptive behaviors? When we think about Alyssa's behavior during the clip, we gave her a 0 for academically engaged, 8 for respectful, and a 5 for disruptive. Think back to the clip. Alyssa was observed talking to the boy next to her, staring off to one side of the room, or playing with her pencil during the clip, so she was never actively nor passively participating. Thus, she receives a rating of 0 for academically engaged. Alyssa was frequently polite and compliant during most of the clip, which indicates a high level of respect. However, Alyssa was seen poking a peer at the beginning of the clip, which is not a polite pro-social interaction with a peer. Therefore, she received a rating of 8 for respectful. Finally, during about half of the clip, Alyssa was observed talking to another student, playing with a pencil, and throwing the pencil. Thus, she received a medium level rating of 5 for disruptive.